Harvey, I think for now we need to go ahead and intro our guest today. He's been patiently waiting on our set already. We've got Andy McDonald hanging out with us this morning from Solarize Frankfort. Good morning, Andy. Thanks for being here.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
So we mentioned you're here to talk to us a little bit about Solarize Frankfort. But before we get into the specifics of that program, do you care to give us maybe a little brief overview of solar energy in general, and then maybe just some advantages? Would that be all right?
Sure. Yeah. So I'm with the Kentucky Solar Energy Society, and solar energy, there's many different ways to use solar energy. We use solar energy every day. It's why we can see. It's why life is possible on Earth. But there are technologies that allow us to use it in specific ways. And Solarize Frankfort is focused on solar electricity. It's using photovoltaic or PV modules to make electricity. And over the last 50 years, various solar technologies have been developed. And solar PV for electricity has become the dominant form. The technology has greatly advanced, and the price has plummeted over the past decade. While the installed capacity of solar has grown exponentially over the past decade, while the price has fallen by more than 90%. Wow. And so today, solar energy is the cheapest new source of energy in the world. And but it does. So you can put solar at almost any scale. There are very large solar farms covering thousands of acres. There are huge solar installations on giant factories, and you can put solar on your house, or you can put solar in your yard to keep your chickens in. So there's almost an infinite number of uses for solar electricity. It's very modular, and it's really a booming industry right now, and it's something that is an important technology, an important resource for many people.
Yeah, and so Solarize Frankfort is sort of helping households get involved there, right? And if they're interested in
or curious about how solar energy might work in their on the scale of their home.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So we started the Solarize program to help people become more familiar with how solar works. We provide free solar assessments to any homeowner or organization or business, basically any property owner in the area. We can tell them whether solar might be a good fit for their property. Not every property is suitable for solar. You need to have some solar access. If your roof is completely shaded, doesn't get any direct sunlight, you're probably not going to be able to take advantage of using solar photovoltaics for electricity. And we'll let you know if that's the case.
And that's part of the assessment that you all do.
Yes, that's part of the assessment. So we evaluate the shading on the property. We evaluate the roof, whether it's a good location for putting solar, whether it's has a proper orientation. And then the program, we also want to connect people with qualified, experienced solar contractors. Right. Because a big question that people have is they don't know who they can trust in terms of a contractor. Mm-hmm. It's a big investment to put solar on your home or your business, and it's important to choose the right contractor. And you might see advertisements on YouTube or elsewhere on the internet making all kinds of claims, and it can be hard to decide whether someone is reputable or not. Yeah. So the Kentucky Solar Energy Society is partnered with the City of Frankfort, Franklin County Fiscal Court, the Franklin County Cooperative Extension Office, and KSU's Land Grant Program. Mm-hmm. And we work together to competitively bid for the contractors to serve our program. We did this earlier in the year. We had 9 different contractors bid into the program, and we selected 2 to serve the Frankfort program. And we chose them based upon their experience and their qualifications and also their price. So they gave us the lowest price, and everyone that participates in the program gets the same price for the same type of system. And so the pricing is scaled to the size of the system. So larger systems are a little bit cheaper per unit because of the efficiencies. But if you have 2 homes that have the identical system, they're going to have the same price.
Gotcha.
Well, and you talked about the assessments, and I would say that's probably something that people get concerned about when you have a salesperson there looking at their house and saying,
Like,
"Oh,
how
well,
much
you can
can
do
you-"
this, and this will cost you how much, and you'll save all this." They can trust when they participate in this program that you guys are not working on a profit motive in that assessment or with the vendors, right? And so they're coming in and doing it at a rate that's already been established.
Exactly. The initial screening is done by Solarize Frankfort. So when a person enrolls in the program, there's a simple enrollment form on our website, which is kyses.org/solarize. And it takes just a couple minutes to put in your contact information. And we want 12 months of utility data so that we know what size system you have. Because the number of solar panels you need depends upon how much energy you require. And every home uses a different amount of energy. And so after you fill in that form, that comes to Solarize Frankfort. And we look at a satellite image of your property. And if it looks like it's not going to be a good site for solar, we'll just send you an email and let you know that you're probably not a good site. If you have further questions, we're happy to talk to you about that. Sometimes people will say, "Oh, well, I actually cut down that tree that you see in the
That
picture."
tree fell down 2 weeks ago. It's so
right.
good.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, then we'll take another look at it. And then we refer them to one of the two contractors. The contractors will give them an initial estimate, which they can usually do virtually. And then if that looks interesting to the customer, the contractor will then come out to the site and give them a final estimate. And if the customer has a question about the estimate, they can always reach back out to Solarize Frankfort, and we're happy to review the proposal they've gotten from the contractor. And likewise, so there's no financial commitment at that point. There's no commitment on their part until they decide
like,
to sign
"Hey,
a contract.
this actually didn't really work out for me,"
Yeah.
or whatever. That's fine.
They
There's
can
no
just walk
commitment,
away,
and-
no pressure. And if they want to get another estimate, we have a list of qualified solar contractors on our website.
Oh, yeah.
There's about, I don't know, a dozen or more contractors who serve Kentucky. People are welcome to call other contractors and get independent estimates. I feel like, you don't need to do that because we actually did that. We got multiple estimates to start the program in choosing the contractors. But if you're more comfortable doing that, then I invite people to do that. And if any of the listeners are interested in using solar and you don't participate in the Solarize program, I encourage you to get multiple estimates. Or if a salesman comes to your house, I encourage you, thank them for the information and then get another estimate. It's always a good idea to get multiple estimates.
Yeah, oh, for sure. So 2 weeks from today, there is a Solar 101 workshop, right, that you guys are doing?
That's right.
Yeah.
July 31st, we'll be having a free workshop at the Paul Sawyer Public Library, and I'll be presenting the workshop. We'll have one of the contractors who work with us will be there to answer questions, and we'll talk about how solar works, how we evaluate a property, what the different pieces of equipment are that you use in a solar installation. We'll talk about the warranties. We'll give you typical pricing, and people can ask questions. We'll also talk about batteries. A lot of people are interested in batteries. The price of batteries is also falling dramatically. It's becoming a lot more accessible for people nowadays to put batteries in these systems too.
So that's a situation where, you're collecting the energy and to be able to use when the panels are not receiving, or not generating energy at that time, whether it's nighttime or
more specifically, it's batteries around here are most useful when the grid is down.
Okay.
So a typical solar installation here is interconnected with the grid. So if you're a plant board customer, you'll use power from the plant board at night, but during the day when your solar panels are producing power, you'll use the energy from the solar panels. If you produce more than you need at a given time, the extra power flows back to the plant board, actually flows to your neighbor's house. They use the solar power, but you get credited for that on your bill.
Right.
And those credits offset your usage at nighttime. And those credits build up throughout the month. And you might, in the summertime, you might actually get credits on your bill at the end of the month. And those credits carry forward month to month so that in December, say, if you're not producing as much solar power because it's really cloudy, those credits you built up in the summer will reduce your bill in December. But if you have a lot of power outages, or say if you have critical medical equipment in your home where it's really important that you don't lose power, you might want to have batteries. And so when you apply to Solarize Frankfort, the contractor can explore with you whether batteries make sense. And we don't encourage most people to get batteries because the plant board's grid is pretty reliable. We don't have regular power outages. But some people in certain neighborhoods or certain parts of the county, they might experience outages more often. Or maybe they have medical equipment or something else that makes it particularly important for them to have batteries.
So the workshop on the 31st, great opportunity for folks to ask questions and learn more. What are what's the most common question that you get from somebody who's, it understands a little bit about it, but maybe just the one little piece doesn't connect for them? What's the most common question you might get?
People commonly want to know what's it going to cost, and they relate it to the square footage of their house. But it's really not based on the size of your house, but on the size of your bill. And so, two older folks living in a home might use a lot less energy than a family with 5 children.
Yeah, and 3 refrigerators.
Yeah.
Even though the square footage of the house is the same,
Right.
It's
Right.
how you use that.
Yeah. And also energy efficiency is really important too. So 2 identically sized homes with the same number of family members, one home might be more energy efficient. They might be better insulated. They might have more efficient HVAC equipment. And so they'll use less energy and require a smaller solar energy system.
Okay.
People often also want to know how durable are the panels, how long lasting are they. Solar panels commonly come with a 25-year warranty.
Okay.
And so you can expect the equipment to last 25 years and more.
Okay.
And so it's a very good long-term investment. There is a significant upfront cost,
Sure.
but it's like putting money into a secure long-term investment like a CD, because you can count on it's up until now, electricity rates have gone up over time, over the years. And the more your electricity rates go up, the more your savings will be with the solar panels. And so the rising cost of energy is kind of like the interest rate on your investment in solar.
Right. Yeah,
And
because
so-
your investment is it's now stable, right? Once you
Right.
make the initial investment, you your fixed cost.
And
Yeah.
and there is a federal tax credit available to homeowners and businesses worth 30% of the project cost.
Okay.
And so that's a substantial tax credit.
Yeah. And so we did want to remind folks that the enrollment deadline has been extended. Is that right?
That's right. When we started the program in April, our initial enrollment deadline was July 31st because we want to get systems installed by the end of the year so that anyone who installs the system can apply the tax credit for this year.
Right.
But due to interest in the program, we decided to extend the deadline to September 30th.
Okay.
And we trust the contractors are confident that even someone who enrolls in the program by September 30th will be able to get their system installed by the end of the year.
Nice.
To be able to apply that tax credit
Yes.
this year.
Yeah.
One thing we did not touch on is who is eligible for the program here locally. Residents, I mean, you mentioned basically property owners, Frankfort and Franklin County, but then also outside of Franklin County as well, right?
Yes, Solarize Frankfort is actually available to each of the surrounding counties, Anderson, Woodford, Scott, Owen, and Henry County.
Okay.
Shelby County is actually included within Solarize Louisville.
Okay.
That was just an arbitrary decision. There is a Solarize program in Louisville, but it's organized by the city of Louisville, and they have different contractors serving that program. So if you're in Shelby County, you can sign up through Solarize Louisville.
Okay.
But otherwise, the other surrounding counties are eligible to participate in Solarize Frankfort.
By doing the exact same process, kyscs.org/solarize.
That's right.
Okay.
Great. Andy, we appreciate you hanging out with us this morning and providing all this great info on Solarize Frankfort.
So I think it's just, I mean, the point I want to make was
Yeah.
it's like such an interesting topic. People talk about it all the time, but there's just not always certain about the details,
Yeah.
right? And there's a lot of not misinformation, but it can be confusing when you hear something or you see an ad for something and you're just not sure. So I think it's great that you guys are able to provide a sort of stable source of information.
And I think the Solar 101, the workshop, will be a great opportunity for people to, no cost associated
Yeah.
with that. You just show up,
Learn
listen
more.
to the presentation, ask plenty of questions, and be, assuaged or be, kind of have concerns sort of answered and everything. Andy, before we let you go, we kind of gave you a tip about what the question of the day was today.
We like to keep things serious around
We
here.
like to keep, we have to settle in and be serious for a second. Tattoos. How do you feel about tattoos? And if you could have one for just a year, what would you get? Or do you have tattoos now?
Well, I don't have tattoos. I've never thought about getting a tattoo. But I suppose if I was forced to get one for a year, I suppose I would get a sunflower.
Oh, I like that.
But I'd probably put it in an unobtrusive place.
A spot where you could hide it maybe a little bit.
probably.
Yeah,
Right.
okay.
That would be
okay.
more my style.
That's a
Yeah,
good
I'm
call.
with you
Yeah,
on
and
that.
I think something we were probably going to talk about within our whole conversation is how much the vibe around tattoos, I would say, has changed over the years. Definitely
That's
since when I
true.
was growing up in the '90s. Like you saw
They're-
somebody with a tattoo, and you're like,
oh, yeah.
you might want to be careful. It was like one of those, like it was like rock stars or like bikers and like
Right.
biker gang, and I think it's changed over
has
the years for sure.
Lots of things have changed.
Yeah. Andy, thanks so much for hanging out with us. Again, if folks are interested, they can go to kyses.org/solarize and get all the information on Solarize Frankfort, or they can attend the Solar 101 workshop going on at the library on July 31st. Andy, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me on
Thanks,
the
Andy.
program.
Absolutely.